Hello and welcome to the Motorway Man, and welcome back to another Rise and Fall video. And in today's episode we'll be looking at the most famous former Motorway services partner, Little Chef. Now Little Chef were a fast food / sit down restaurant who at their peak had over 400 restaurants and many service stations across the UK and a few in Europe. And in this episode we'll be looking at the rise and fall of Little Chef, so let's get into the video. The first Little Chef restaurant opened in 1958 in Reading, making it even older than the Motorway, as the first Motorway didn't open until December 1958. The restaurant was inspired by American diners and originally was a sit-down style restaurant, and the image on screen shows a drawing of the first Little Chef. In the late 50s and early 60s, Little Chef opened some small branches across the country, and following the beginning of major road building, Little Chef's next idea was to build restaurants along major roads, such as A roads, to attract passing motorists who were hungry after a long journey. So that means that the first service station to gain a Little Chef wasn't on a motorway like you would think, but on an A road. The first service stations to have Little Chefs were North Muscombe and Foreign Way services. Little Chef was sold on in 1961 to new owners. These new owners were called trust houses. Trust houses were a respected hospitality business and could do great things for Little Chef. They helped them expand even more. Little Chef were able to open new branches of restaurants and even open their first motorway branch. Little Chef continued to expand, and because trust houses and Little Chef were doing really well, this attracted the attention of Forte, and eager to outdo their rival Granada, Forte purchased trust houses and Little Chef in around 1970. At first this move wasn't too popular, but it ended up being great for Little Chef. Forte worked wonders and Little Chef saw their biggest expansion in this time. Forte began to install Little Chef restaurants all across their service stations, and by 1975 Little Chef now had over 100 restaurants, so this shows Forte and Little Chef worked really well. Because things were successful, the Little Chef began to own a hotel chain, with the first Little Chef Lodge opening in 1976 in Gretna Green Services. The Little Chef Lodge would go on to open in 28 locations. They were the most budget hotel chain of them all, with rooms from just £19. Additionally, Little Chef Lodge was just a trial, but it did work quite well, so more hotels opened. We'll come back to the Little Chef Lodge in a bit, and it was also in the 70s when Little Chef expanded into Europe for the first time, when they opened Le Chef France, this being the French version of Little Chef. But unfortunately, some of the French restaurants closed down because they just weren't as popular as they were in England. Back in the UK, Forte was introducing a new concept to Little Chef in larger, more premium service stations. Forte branded Motor Chef, and they sort of acted as Little Chef's big brother. I suppose you could call them the Big Chef. But anyway, Motor Chef really started in 1982 and was still being branded by 1986. When Forte became Welcome Break in 1988, which you can learn more about my service station operators video on Welcome Break, all of their service stations became Welcome Break, so the Motor Chefs and Little Chef's big brother, they were all removed around this time. However, Forte still did put Little Chefs into Welcome Break services, and Little Chef still had their A-Road services, but they did lose the Little Chef Lodges because they were replaced by Welcome Break's own Welcome Lodges instead. But other than a brief blip of losing the hotels, things were great. Little Chef. They now had over 200 branches up and down the country by 1990, and it was in 1995 when the next major chapter of Little Chef's history would begin. Forte was purchased by Granada in 1995, a deal which included Little Chef. Granada expanded Little Chef rapidly, installing them into all their service stations, and now Little Chef was at its peak. They owned 400 restaurants, and they even opened a side chain called Little Chef Express for more speedy service, and business was booming, but like most of these things, it didn't stay that way for long. Granada was forced to sell Welcome Break in 1997, so all Little Chefs were removed from Welcome Break sites, and as an attempt to regrow Little Chef, Granada made them a franchise, so by 2000 Little Chef were opening everywhere, but that included competition service areas. So when Granada fell in 2001, Little Chef's ownership passed to their successor, Moto, but Moto's owners were busy managing service stations and they didn't really have the time to manage a restaurant chain too, so some Little Chef closed, and in 2004 Little Chef was sold on to new owners, and they were sold on again a year later in 2005. During this period, 150 Little Chef restaurants were either sold or closed down, and unfortunately this was marking the beginning of the end for Little Chef. Little Chef began to be phased out by operators, and the last franchise on an official motorway service station closed in 2010, and that was at Toddington Services. However, it's still important to note that Little Chef still owned many non-motorway restaurants. Little Chef continued to slowly sell off less profitable sites until they were sold again in 2013. The new owners announced they would save Little Chef, which for a while they seemed to do so. The restaurants got refurbished and things actually seemed alright. Things went well until 2017 when the owners announced they would be sharing Little Chef, as the intention was to only rescue them from bankruptcy and it was not to ever own them long term. However, it seemed at this point nobody wanted to save Little Chef. All that was tempting perhaps was all the roadside land that they owned. So in early 2017, a service station operator, Eurogarage, purchased Little Chef and all their land. And on the 1st of February 2017, Eurogarage announced their intention to discontinue Little Chef. Minor sites were sold, and some of the buildings were taken away completely to make way for new Eurogarage service stations. A small minority of sites were repackaged to the Eurogarage diner, but they were phased out as well, and one of the final Little Chef closed at Crew Services on the M6 in 2018, which you can learn more about on my service station tour of Crew Services. And yes, in 2018, Little Chef had fallen. So that makes the question, where did it all go wrong? Well, it seems that Little Chef's end came through no fault of theirs. Now, I would probably say the biggest factor, in my opinion, was that Little Chef was maybe a bit old and not too modern anymore. So I shall conclude and say that the rise of Little Chef was great and it happened fairly quickly, and I bet not many restaurant chains had 400 restaurants so fast, and the fall of Little Chef was because of potential mismanagement by the owners and not monetizing themselves for perhaps a younger audience. And although Little Chef is no longer around, they are still fondly remembered by many people, and they certainly won't be forgotten anytime soon. And finally, just before I go, the channel is officially 6 months old, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. So happy anniversary Motorway Man's YouTube channel, and I'll be making a major announcement on Wednesday all about the future of the channel and sustaining it going forward, so you definitely don't want to miss it. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate your time as always. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, I would appreciate that. And one final thing is there is a service station tour of Washington coming on Sunday. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you give the video a good old thumbs up if you enjoyed these Rise and Fall episodes. Make sure you're subscribed. Tune in on Wednesday for that big announcement, and I shall catch you in the next one. Goodbye.